You talked about other chelating agents. Well, there are problems with other chelating agents. Number one, they can attract other metals, but they can also attract other minerals. So when you're doing a chelation product or IV chelation, you have to be remineralized because that chelating agent will take out magnesium and calcium and other key minerals. Well, these molecules of the essential magnesium and calcium and whatever cannot fit into the cage-like structure. They never get taken out of the body. So they always remain there. And then zeolite, and by the way, some chelating agents are called weak chelating agents. They can capture some of the heavy metals, but not strong enough that magnet, you might say, is not strong enough to hold on to them, and then they can release them back into the body on the way out. But zeolite has this really strong bond. It captures things inside its little cage-like structure, where they are then taken out of the body. Now, zeolite comes as a powder. It's been used by many, many different cultures for, hundreds and hundreds of years, but the powder does a great job in the digestive tract, but it doesn't get absorbed into the bloodstream working on what is in our cells. That's where the liquid nanized zeolite that we're talking about actually has the ability to be absorbed into the cells through the bloodstream and pull out what's in the cells. A lot of the weight issues, which of course is such a chronic problem, and the frustration that people have is in trying to lose weight, that they may do everything and not really shift much because the body in its wisdom is protecting you because it's in the fat cells that the body stores toxins and heavy metals. So unless you can pull these out and reduce that body burden, the body isn't going to allow you to release the fat because it's a toxic substance then in the body when filled with these chemicals and heavy metals. Very interesting.
Exactly. And this results RNA product, this nano particle of zeolite, and it's in a spray. You spray it into your mouth. It's got research behind it, and they've proven that it takes it out, through the urine by what they call urine challenge testing. And it's absolutely astounding what they have come up with. And then, of course, on our website, we will have a link to all the research. So now we have a proven, affordable, because some of the other zeolite products on the market are ridiculously expensive. Okay, and they are not nanoparticles. Okay, so now we have a proven, chelating substance in a liquid form you spray, and there's no taste to it, that we know takes out the toxic heavy metals. Then with this, then they have a 200 part per million. Here we go, gang. You've heard me talk a lot about our, super silver product at 10 parts per million. This is a 200 part per million silver product, and they happen to be in the same state that our biotech manufacturer for super silver is. So before I had a chance to talk to the a CEO, I kind of was thinking, well, maybe they hooked up with our biotech manufacturer and had them make the stronger silver. No, and they know them. In fact, they live in the same neighborhood. What's exciting about it? Even though this 200 part per million, silver spray, and I call it like a shock and awe attack on the body, and they don't have all of the medical studies that the super silver does, but they're walking down the path, and the studies they do have are very impressive. Actually kills the drug-resistant staph and yeast and candida faster, than any other product out there. So now what we have, we can take out the heavy metals. And zeolite also takes out free radicals, unlike classic antioxidants. A zeolite does not neutralize free radicals. It just captures them and takes them out of the body. So the heavy metals come out, And then at the same time, we address these infectious agents and these pathogens. And, if you haven't done any research on fungus, people, you better realize fungus is probably one of the most deadly out there. And it knocks those things off. What a perfect combination. And you also used it on some of the worst of your patients, like we did. Tell us, what happened with some of them who weren't responding to anything else.
Well, it's quite remarkable what happens to people. The thing about zeolite and the total body detox, because it's a double-pronged attack,
right,
is that and by the way, it actually is easily released out of the body when it's trapped in the zeolite. So it doesn't really cause major cleansing, detoxing reactions, which is really nice. The other thing I have to say is, like you said, it's a spray, and you start off the first month with 10 sprays 4 times a day, and it has no taste. I mean, how good does that get, right? But people who've been taking this have found that they've increased their energy, their pain has dissipated. They have found that chronic illnesses that they've been plagued with are improving. They're thinking more clearly. Hormones become more balanced. We have to understand that mercury can be lodged in the thyroid and in the uterus and block the hormones. So for any woman dealing with hormonal issues, you really want to look at something like this total body detox. It's quite profound. And obviously for any pregnant couple, this is essential. We see more and more studies coming out that pregnant couples are really, fertility is a huge issue, number one. Sperm counts are compromised as well. But all of this body burden is being passed on to children. And in fact, a lot of the problems with autism, Glenn, not every child who receives a vaccination becomes autistic, right? So what's happening with the kids that are becoming autistic? And I was just talking with a parent whose 2-year-old, after his first or series of vaccinations by the age of 2, immediately became autistic. And he said his wife had a lot of toxic burden. She was chronically ill, had a high toxic burden, and that was passed on to his firstborn, his 2-year-old. And then when he got the vaccination with all that mercury, the child already was compromised, and it just overloaded the circuits.
Well, and you mentioned some autism doctor with some prediction that said within 5 years or 10 years or something that you were talking about.
Dr. Klinghardt has made a very dire prediction, and he said, I believe, is within 10 years, 90% of all children being born, will be born with autism for a variety of reasons. It's like the perfect storm of toxic heavy metal exposure, genetic weakness and mutation from a generation or two of poor diets, and toxicity passed on by the parents. And then the third element of a perfect storm is the extremely damaging effect of electromagnetic radiation.
Which we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, effective cell phones, yeah.
Well, all right, so here's what we have, people. We have a proven combination detoxification product with a silver product that knocks out the pathogenic infections. If you only do one, if you're out there wondering, well, I've done chelation and it only worked for a while, and then I felt terrible again, or I did a silver product. Now we know why. Now, you just mentioned EMF, electromagnetic pollution, cell phones, cordless phones, digital age. When you told us and the gals at the Wellness Center, I said, oh, my God, that's why. Now, Sherrill is an accepted expert in this field. She travels all around the world talking about this. She has multiple published articles about this. Okay, you were mentioning something about they now have proof that the frequencies from EMF make the pathogenic infections even more deadly in the body?